Hi, I'm Candace.
And I'm Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The Watermelon Cast. Watermelon.
Oh no.
You don't even like watermelon that much.
Watermelon is acceptable.
It's delicious.
What did I do?
So, Candace hates my vocal warm-ups. So I had to try and come up with something else. And watermelon. But then we had to explain that watermelon is the thing you say when you're stage talking. So, yeah.
I wasn't aware of that either.
Uh-huh.
Yep, nope, that's a thing.
Because it makes it look like you're talking, but you're not actually saying anything.
I know nothing of stage.
I don't either, but I know that. Could not tell you why I know that. But
That's
anyway.
A good question. Why do you know
I
that?
have no clue.
I know why I know that.
Because Ripley
That might
was
actually
a theater kid.
That might actually be the answer.
No, it's not. I've heard it elsewhere.
Okay.
I know a lot of random facts that I don't know where I learned them.
I also have an approximate
that.
knowledge of many things.
Yes, exactly. You understand what I'm saying. So, welcome back to the podcast.
Feeling better.
We are here. Yes, I'm feeling much better.
No, then I got sick immediately afterwards.
John got sick, not with COVID.
Well, it could have been.
It wasn't my fault anyway.
Well, yeah, because of the timing of the multiple people involved. No, it couldn't have been, but it could have been.
Do you have any suspicions where you got sick? Who to blame?
Shopping. Probably shopping.
Boring, man. I wanted the drama.
Sorry, no, there's no one to blame.
The drama of shopping.
No, a couple years back, like, half my family got sick, and we could all blame, like, Typhoid Tyler for giving everybody COVID.
No.
COVID Tyler.
Well, if it was COVID, which I never actually got it checked, and we never had any of the fun symptoms, so I don't know for sure. But if it was, it would be my first brush with COVID.
The fun symptoms.
Yeah, the fun
ones.
symptoms. You know, the neurological damaging ones.
You know, the fun ones, like chills and aches that you can't get rid of.
No, I mean, those are
I know.
common symptoms from lots of things. I'm talking about, like, you're
Losing your
damage.
sense of taste.
Yeah, not just losing your sense of taste turning into something else.
I have a cousin who has had COVID twice and still doesn't have her sense of taste back after years, and also has not been vaccinated. So anyway.
So yeah, no,
So we're all good now.
We're all fine now. How are you?
Speak for yourself.
John is always low-key dying. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a little high-key dying for once.
Yeah.
Still.
I thought you're more mid-key dying.
Well, yeah, give me another 2 weeks, and I'll be back.
To low-key. So, I'm very excited to talk about Thor this week. Are you guys excited to talk about Thor this week?
Yeah?
I guess. Should I be... I remember Roy.
Yeah, can you tell me what happened last time?
I can. So, they were still underground dealing with the fucking troll shit. And this was after Jane had taken the Troll King.
No. That was the second issue we read last time. There was an entire issue before that.
No, we already...
No, Jerry's last issue was last time.
Well, yeah. I know.
That was the one where they went underground and Jane was being held captive.
Okay.
And at the end of that, they conquered the Troll King.
Alright, well, they went underground. They fought Zotar, champion of the fucking trolls.
Who turned out to be a robot.
Anyway, they fought Zotar, Supreme Troll Supreme.
There you go.
Right.
That's what it is.
And... yeah, Zotar was a robot, but while Thor was fighting Zotar bot, Jane broke free and then took a staff, or not a staff, it was a spear, and took Gyarados prisoner.
Yep.
And so they promptly fucked back off after that.
No, wait, how did they get out of there? Because Ulik wanted Thor to help him take over the surface after that.
Right.
And Thor was like, I was
No.
only helping you because you were holding Jane hostage.
And now you're not doing that anymore.
So,
I'm gonna fight you.
Thor based on something that Gyarados said, Thor assumed that the spear that Jane had was magical. And
oh, right, and it exploded.
yeah, he threw it into the river and it exploded for some reason.
You know, those, they're making them out of, like, potassium.
I don't remember what mattered about that, though.
All that mattered is that it provided a distraction for them to escape.
Okay, well, they escaped, and then, meanwhile...
What happened with Hercules?
Hercules
He's not here
got
anymore.
an offer to go over to California, where, speaking of which, Odin is dealing with a whole plot involving strike breakers.
Yeah.
You know, this low-key Odin thing that's, you know, in the back seat. Definitely not a big deal.
These
Nothing
break
big's
breakers
happened.
have been striking for 4 fucking years.
6 years.
Oh, I thought it was 4.
Nope, it's 6.
6 fucking years.
Somehow they haven't found scabs?
No, they definitely
They
found
did
scabs,
find
otherwise
scabs.
the
That
vineyards
was
would have
part
gone
of
out
the
of
plot.
business.
The
I mean,
strike
it
breakers.
actually wasn't specifically mentioned that they had scabs, but I assume they have to have had scabs in 6 fucking years.
But if they found scabs, why would they even care about breaking the strike if they have enough scabs to replace the strikers?
I don't
They
know.
probably don't have enough scabs to replace the strikers. They're just
They're operating.
by.
They're operating at lower capacity.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously, Jerry was thinking about these deep, complicated
Yeah.
work
So-
issues at the time.
The grape pickers at the vineyards have been on strike for 6 years.
Well, there's some strike breakers now
Yeah.
here to try and fuck shit up because they finally had it with these strikers.
After 6 long years of striking.
And Odin and Judith got involved. Because
Yeah.
they were there.
And then Judith was like, "Why are you hurting people, Odin?
I
What
didn't
the
want
fuck?
you to hurt people.
I wanted you to help people."
He was helping people,
So then
the
there was
striking
a strike
workers.
meeting, and it was getting ready to be a fight again, but oh my god, surprise outside. You're actually going to be surprised because it's pyramids with the Egyptian gods and they're gray.
A pyramid literally came up from under the ground.
Correct.
So let's think about this Odin plot for a while.
Uh-huh.
Odin finally fucked off.
Yeah.
Like he really
He
truly fucked off.
He went into self-imposed exile and wiped his own memory so that he could learn the ways of humanity or something.
And he ends up in California. A cult ends up picking him up.
Yes.
And he's just been kind of tooling around California, having escapades, adventures, and the like. And then a motherfucking pyramid.
And then a pyramid. And who was in the pyramid?
The Egyptian gods, I told you, and they're gray.
Well, yes. Specifically, it was Osiris, Isis, and Horus.
You think I was gonna remember that, motherfucker?
No, which is why I asked.
Like, you can really tell someone else is writing.
Yeah, and also, we read our last Jerry issue, so we're done with Jerry.
Boy.
No more Jerry Conway.
And one more issue of Roy.
Yes, one more issue of Roy. One more issue of Roy.
Marvel's top pickup man. Never really got anything. Yeah, I looked him up. He never really wrote anything long-term pretty much anywhere.
Didn't he do a bit of Avengers?
Probably. He did a bit of everything. Like, that's not an exaggeration. He only ever did bits of things.
So, our favorite pickup artist, who has written Thor number 240 from July of 1975, written actually by Roy Thomas and Bill Mantlo. So, a little bit of collaboration. Art by Sal Buscema, inked by Klaus Janson, colored by Phil Rachelson, lettered by John Costanza, and the cover art is by our boy Klaus and also Gilkin.
Aren't some of those new names?
One of them is...
Yep, Klaus Janson is a new name. It's another one of these guys who you can find pictures of, but most biographies seem to be pretty much the same. He's a German immigrant. He teaches at a school for comic book art. I don't really have a whole lot to add. That's my fun fact. He's a teacher.
He's a
Men
teacher.
in comic books.
For once.
When I told Ripley to look him up, they were like, oh, he's German-born. Isn't that a surprise?
Mhm.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Very surprising. I'm shocked. I never would have guessed with a name like that.
Cannot believe Heinrich is German.
So, completely unaware of certain other events.
Right, he took off to space.
Yeah, something that we forgot to mention is that Jane told Thor to go look for his dad.
So he took off into space.
So he decided to go to Asgard.
I love that on this page, they feel the need to start mentioning all the people involved in this comic book.
Yeah.
Right? In the first text bubble.
They
always
do that.
Always.
That's where the credits are.
Oh.
On the first page.
I guess I never really noticed.
Mm-hmm.
You never give me enough time to look.
Well, because the first page isn't important and I already told you all the credits. Thor is flying towards Asgard, determined to uncover information about his father's disappearance. He arrives at the Bifrost to find its guardian feeling a little bit under the weather.
Mood.
Heimdall seems to be having trouble recognizing his prince, as though his senses have been somehow dulled. He then explains that not just this, but also his physical strength has suffered from some mysterious malady. He demonstrates by attempting to pick up his horn and completely failing.
Wow.
So it's time for a nerdy tangent. Heimdall's horn is called the Gjallarhorn, and according to the Eddas, he blows it at Ragnarok to summon the defenders of Asgard, including the chosen souls of Valhalla.
Guess he's gonna have to start kneeling this time.
Well, hey, it still works. You just kind of have to get one bit up, and then you blow on it while it's on the ground. Well, the Rainbow Bridge.
So, mythologically speaking, we don't actually know if he blows it any other time, but the comics tend to treat it as like a general alarm whenever Asgard is under attack, so we can just call it that until it comes up.
Until they change their mind on that?
Well, until someone else does something different.
Oh, no.
Heimdall tells Thor that everyone else is suffering from a similar affliction, draining their strength and vitality.
Wonder if there are any lizard men around, or like some ants.
Well, if just some random aliens can knock over this place, then...
Hey, this is Roy. Roy does like aliens.
He does. Ripley was theorizing that the Egyptians were aliens.
Yep.
Before we started recording.
It would explain why they're gray.
So that's why Apocalypse is gray. He's an alien.
No.
He's
a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling a sense of foreboding, the Thunder God continues on through the city, where he witnesses firsthand the strange malaise gripping his people. They lay about, seemingly unaware of their surroundings. Thor surmises that this is a product of Odin's absence somehow, and is becoming extremely bothered by it.
Tyr's hat is stupid.
Oh yeah, Tyr is here for the first time ever. This is not Tyr as we will come to know him later. But just so you know, Tyr is the god of justice and war.
And
he has a stupid hat.
And I don't think he is related to Odin in the mythology, but in the comics, he is an Odinson, so...
An Odinson?
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay.
Another sibling.
Yes.
Okay.
Found one.
Yep. Another sibling who we are not acknowledging at this point is a sibling.
Sure.
So, when he finally reaches the palace, Thor smashes down the door to find the Warriors 3 and the Vizier holding down the fort. I am quite honestly struggling to parse what happens in this conversation, but here's what I think is happening. Thor was hoping to find the cause of the melancholy plaguing Asgard in the palace.
Why?
I don't know. Fandral says everything is fine, and they don't even mind that Odin is gone, which, yeah, same.
Why is he yelling?
I don't know.
Walk in, you see your friends, and then you keep yelling.
He smashed the door open, and now he's yelling at his friends.
Ask Roy. I don't know.
Thor, calm down. My guy.
Some people are feeling not so hot, so you go to your house.
You go scream at them.
You go to your house, and you kick down the door to your dad's room, and you yell at your friends.
Thor asks how they can not see the problem and lashes out, breaking a nearby bust of Odin with his hammer. The Warriors 3 take offense to this and try to fight him, But he knocks them all to the ground, and after hitting their heads, their minds are now clear.
Their minds were unclear?
Yeah.
The yelling didn't wake them up, apparently.
This whole interaction is weird, and I think the root of the problem is this illness that everyone in Asgard supposedly has, but that has no defined symptoms and is kind of just a general vibe.
Wow, and I thought generically insane was bad.
Yeah. It's very vague and weird.
Generic
I don't know.
malaise is even worse.
Yes.
They've lost the will to live.
I mean, basically.
No, that's not generic. I'll give it it's bad, but it's not generic.
So, now they're all back to normal, and Fandral asks after Sif, but Thor declines to explain, only saying that she's not coming back.
Great.
The Vizier reminds us that Odin is in self-imposed exile on Earth to learn the ways of man, or humility, or whatever. And Thor says that without him, the realm is vulnerable, and it's only a matter of time before Ragnarok comes a-knocking.
So we have to reset things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I understand. Everything has to be reset, and...
That's what Ragnarok is. It's the reset button.
But we need to reset things before the reset button comes for us.
Yes. The Warriors 3 are prepared to do what they must to prevent this, but first of all, they need to find out where the Allfather is. Seth casts a spell that makes a fire, and with the fire, he summons Mimir. I have a lot of issues with the way Marvel writers choose to interpret Norse myths, but this is one where I would just love to know why. Mythologically speaking, Mimir is the god of wisdom, who was beheaded in the war between the two races of gods, the Aesir and the Vanir. After Odin found the body, he carried Mimir's head around for a while, and it would say wise things.
Oh.
He's also the guardian of one of the pools of mystical water that Yggdrasil's roots drink from, where Odin sacrificed his eye to gain wisdom, and yes, he is in God of War.
I made that realization.
Yes, he is the talking head in God of War.
Oh, that makes sense. I would put a flaming guy in front of the...
So given that he's rather notably associated with water, I really don't know why Roy and Sal have chosen to portray him as a giant face made out of fire.
Because they don't know.
It doesn't bother me, I just want to know why. Anyway.
I don't think they know. I don't think they know about the water.
I guess. So, Thor is able to ask Mimir where Odin is, and finds out about the whole thing with the pyramid.
You know, if you'd been on Earth
for like 2 seconds
watching
more.
television,
Watching TV.
You would have learned about the pyramid, and you would have gone.
Oh, yes. So Jane turned on the TV after Thor left, and she saw Odin going into the pyramid.
So you know,
so
Thor,
Jane knows already.
Thor, if you'd had waited 2 seconds, you would have seen with your own eyes.
Yeah. Mimir then goes on to explain who the Egyptian gods are, beginning with Isis and Osiris and their 2 sons, Horus and Seth.
Fun fact, not his real name.
So, when you named the Vizier Seth, I knew in the back of my head this was going to come up at some point.
Seth 2.
Just so you know.
Seth
2.
Important fact. Seth or Set.
Yeah, Set is the more normal way.
Seth 2.
That's not the... Egypt gets this all the time. The Greeks ruled over Egypt for hundreds of years, and a whole bunch of Egyptian things got Grecified names. It's a whole thing. There's a place called... Actually, there's a lot of Opolis's in Egypt, and none of them are native Egyptian names. It's just...
It's a mess. So, Horus and Seth are, in a lot of ways, basically just Thor and Loki, but Egyptian. Just so you know.
Okay.
So Seth apparently killed Osiris and cut him into 40 pieces, which Isis then had to find in order to resurrect him.
Oh, so we're respecting ancient mythology now.
Because of this, Horus had to go fight his brother, which ended in Seth winning and trapping them inside a pyramid, and I quote, "Until Autumn Ray, the father of the gods, returns to Earth."
Huh.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lot to take in there.
Yeah, and it does also mention that Seth used the Greeks to do this.
Yeah. I do love this Loki-esque depiction.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
like it's clearly supposed to be Loki-esque.
Well, yeah.
It's a good job, guys.
There's a very clear comparison being drawn here. So, now armed with... Were you reading?
No, I can't read.
Why would you say that?
Because I can't see.
You're blind.
Now armed with information, Thor leaves the Warriors 3 in charge of the city while he returns to Earth. He arrives at the same time as Jane, who drove straight to the airport and got on a plane to California, which must have been a fucking X-15 because it certainly has not been 6.5 hours. The soldiers set up around the pyramid tried to stop both of them, but Thor strolls right past and smacks the structure with his hammer. In response, the hidden door slides open to reveal Horus, ready to beat the shit out of the intruder.
Wait, so they just went back inside?
Yes. They took Odin and they went back inside.
They found a father god, and
yeah, they'll make do. If you can't get your own father god, store-bought is fine. Yes, exactly. So Horus says something about a ritual and how it can't be interrupted before he uses his eye to... Okay, he puts his eye in the sky, and he says that it has the power of disturbance. And Thor is sure as hell disturbed by it. He is momentarily entranced, his strength and will leeching out of him until he musters up the presence of mind to conjure a storm, covering the eye with clouds. So, that happened.
Okay.
Alright.
Horus then shoots at the Thunder God with beams, but Thor blocks them with Mjolnir. They advance on each other, with Thor holding off the beam long enough to knock away Horus's weapon. They then start grappling and punching each other while having very normal and not weird dialogue about how similar they are. The fight is interrupted by Osiris and Isis emerging from the pyramid, having completed the ritual. They also bring Odin with them, or rather, Autumn Ray.
I guess this is what happens when you use Starbot.
So, I'm really not clear on what happened here. I don't know if they somehow put Autumn Ray in Odin's body, or they just convinced Odin that he is Autumn Ray, or if the implication is that Autumn Ray and Odin are two aspects of the same progenitor god that has been remade through the ages by various cultures and prayers.
That's how I've been interpreting.
The last one sounds cool.
But
seems a little high concept for Thor comics of this era.
What, you think Thor comics can't handle deific syncretization? You think that's beyond them? The idea that one...
At this point, yes. Present Thor comics, I would believe it.
Of course it's beyond them.
So whatever the case, Autumn Ray doesn't seem to remember being Odin and is prepared to fight Thor if he has to. So, what did you guys think of this issue?
It was an issue.
It was.
It was an issue.
2.
And
that's my definition for 2.
An issue of all time.
Issue negative.
Not really. Roy did not really deliver on the promise. He didn't cash the check that he wrote last issue.
Roy,
was bringing fresh stuff to the pot.
Which he does. He tends to.
And then this one was kind of...
I don't know what flavors these are, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Is this meant to be a topping? I thought this was for soup. Why is this turning out like mayonnaise?
Ew.
Face mayonnaise.
No! Not the face mayonnaise.
Not the face.
I'm giving it a 2.
What do you guys think CMRO rated this one?
2.
Sure, yeah, 2.
2.88.
What the fuck? That didn't deserve that.
That's still not a good score, though.
No.
From CMRO? That's actually pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. So,
New writer.
Yes, next
Again.
we have Thor 241 from August of 1975, written by Bill Mantlo, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Joe Sinnott, colored by Phil Rachelson, lettered by John Costanza, and the cover art is by good old Jack Kirby.
Was Bill Mantlo co-writing the last one?
Yes.
So
They were transitioning him in, I guess.
So we can blame him for the 2.
Yes. You can blame him for this one as well.
Oh no.
Thor kneels before his father, refusing to fight. His words stir something within Autumn Ray, and for a moment Isis wonders if their ritual will be undone. But Horus reassures her that it won't fail. The Allfather commands his son to leave, but Thor refuses. Asgard suffers without its king, and he can't leave his father alone in such strange circumstances. Jane breaks through the perimeter, hoping that Odin will recognize Sif's soul inside her, and that together she and Thor can bring him back to himself.
Because if he can't recognize Thor, surely he'd recognize Sif's soul.
He kind of does, but not really.
Oh, I know your soul.
Yeah. It actually seems like it's working for a moment, before the Egyptians reinforce whatever the hell they did and remind Autumn Ray that they need his power to oppose Seth. The whole time this is happening, the National Guard or Army or whatever is watching from nearby with a general air of confusion and distrust.
Well, yeah, it's generally how you get when a pyramid shows up.
See, I thought they were sitting there watching the drama, but it says right there that we're too far away to hear any of it.
Aw, dang.
No, directional mics? Lame.
Shows. Thor issues a challenge to Osiris, who says that they need not be enemies. All they need is for Odin to defeat Seth so that they can reclaim their throne. But the God of Thunder does not find this amenable if it means that Asgard withers away without its ruler. Finally, Atum Ray exerts his power, flinging Thor back from the steps of the pyramid. He fights back with all his might, but the Odin Force, or Atum Force, or what the hell ever, is too much for him. Osiris calls a halt to this, recognizing the strength and nobility in the Asgardian. He reasserts that they aren't evil, just desperate and in need of help. He offers a bargain. If Thor comes with them and helps them defeat Seth, then they will undo their spell and send Odin back to Asgard.
Incredible.
Okay.
Store-bought is fine.
Yep.
I'm liking this better than the 2-writer job.
Thor doesn't love the idea, but it seems he has no better options. So the Egyptians return to the confines of their pyramid, while Thor tells Jane that it's time for her to go. She refuses to leave him, insisting that she has the soul of a goddess and is more than capable of helping him deal with this.
Is she?
She thinks she is. So he relents, and the two follow their hosts into the structure. Outside, the soldiers watch with what I can only describe as confused impotence. One of them asks if they should do something, but another says, "What would you suggest, Private? Ticking them for illegally parking a pyramid?"
Trespassing.
Yes. Give them... I wonder what the ticket fine for an illegally parked pyramid is, anyway. That's gotta be high, right?
I don't know.
I don't know, I feel like that's just you make them tear it down.
Modern Marvel would have a bureaucracy for this.
Walking close together, the couple follow their new allies down a stone hallway. Jane comments on the beauty of it all, as the path changes to some strange golden road floating in space.
Huh.
Not sure what happened there, but I can roll with it.
Cool.
Horus says that this is the beauty they must reclaim from his brother, but Thor isn't here for his flowery words and urges them to get on with it. Still trying to win him over, the Egyptians direct the Odinson's attention below the path to a man slowly being engulfed in sand. This is Geb, god of the earth, who Seth has given a slow death at the hand of his own domain.
The irony.
Oh yeah. Isis then points above them, where the goddess Nut floats helplessly in the void, her life force being drained to fuel nearby stars.
I think it's pronounced Newt.
Yeah,
Nut.
I believe so.
Nut.
The goddess Nut.
Nut.
The goddess of Nut.
Also, Geb and Nut, I believe, are siblings and also married.
Yeah, welcome to Egypt. That's just how it was
tracks.
done.
Yeah. That's just, yeah. Osiris pleads with Thor to understand their predicament. They can't beat Seth on their own. They already tried. When their power began to wane in Egypt, as the god of death, his power only strengthened. Thor counters that they want him to feel sympathetic when they are allowing a similar fate to befall his own home. I think they're both being hypocritical and stubborn. Abruptly, Jane calls everyone's attention out to the field of stars beyond the path, where a legion of skeletons riding chariots rides forward with malice in their eye sockets.
Cool.
The horses are also skeletons.
Minecraft.
How can you see malice in an eye socket?
I don't know.
Well, it looked sinister at the time.
Hang on, I just noticed that the horse skeletons have skeleton ears and tails, which is not how horses work.
No, it is not.
It is not.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine, actually.
It's fine. These are those anatomically inaccurate skeletons that you can get at Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I like the bone harness.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's segmented.
That's a look. It's made out of vertebrae, I guess. Osiris commands Autumn Ray use his power to defend them, and he obliges, but being that he isn't in full control of his faculties, he completely whiffs it. Thor strikes a pose to call down some lightning before he and Horus wade into battle side by side, two warrior princes fighting for their people's lives. As the battle is joined, Horus is amazed by Thor's ferocity. The Odinson has apparently decided that actually this is something he needs to do, because if the Egyptian god of death defeats the rest of his pantheon, he may well set his sights next on Earth or even Asgard. So...
And also, who doesn't want to fight some skeletons?
Come on, guys. They're just skeletons. How hard could it be?
While the gods fight on, Jane stands by the entranced Odin, weaponless and powerless to defend herself.
Oh, yep, I definitely recognize that soul.
One skeleton breaks from the melee to advance on her, and all she can do is try to get Atumbre to use his power. It doesn't work at first, until she pleads with Odin to save her, and a bolt of energy shoots from his axe, blasting the undead warrior to smithereens.
She really does have the soul of Sif.
Yep.
Wow, there are two whole women in there, and that's how effective she is.
Yeah. Side note, Ripley and I had this whole conversation while I was writing this because Google thinks that axe does not have an E at the end.
Google's wrong.
And I looked it up, and apparently Google says that axe with an E is the British spelling and axe without an E is the American spelling. And I'm like, I have never seen anything else in my life spell it without an E.
Same, but like also...
Body spray?
Adding on...
No.
The weapon.
No, but I mean the word, where they got that. It does the body...
Axe the body spray has an E.
Well, then I guess the American spelling is dead.
I have no idea where that comes from.
I mean, it tracks, though, because adding extra vowels into things is something the Brits just fucking love doing.
They did do that on a spelling reform after we had independence.
The place I read that was on Microsoft for some reason, so... I don't know.
You know, they have a vested interest with Word.
So, the legions of the dead begin to withdraw as a shadow falls across the path. Above them, a ship approaches with Seth at the head. The serpent god shouts a challenge to his brother. Obvious bait, which Thor points out, but...
Wow, yeah, this serpent god is doing the full Loki.
Oh yes, 100%. But Horus falls for it regardless. Instead of striking at his sibling, Seth shoots a beam at their parents, causing both of them to wither in the grips of death. Horus begs for their release, but Thor takes the initiative, flying up to the boat to face the death god directly. The two gods clash, hammer against sword, but Seth makes the mistake of monologuing about his death touch powers, which I think Thor should have known about anyway, considering he has fought two other death/underworld gods with the same fucking power.
It's fine.
Also, how many different death gods do we have to have Thor fight? Really?
All of them.
All of them.
Whenever we get bored, we have him fight a new one.
There's a lot.
There are. As they fight, the Egyptian taunts his foe, providing yet another weapon for Thor to avoid. Between his sword, his grasping hand, and his stinging words, Thor has quite a bit to contend with here. Fortunately, he is up to the challenge, refusing to give in to despair or be distracted. Below them, Jane watches with tears in her eyes. Just one touch will take her beloved from her once again, and she can't bear the idea of losing him.
Good grief.
She falls to the ground, pleading with Odin to save his son, and somehow he responds. Still lost in forgetfulness, he doesn't quite remember who he is, but something in him stirs at her tears. He asks what he can do to help her, so she directs his attention up to where Thor fights alone against the god of death. Autumn Ray raises his axe and shoots a beam, which punches straight through the hull of the ship, catching Seth just as he swings toward the god of thunder and blasting his hand clean off his body.
Ow.
Ouch.
Seth screams in pain, calling for his mommy and daddy, even as his lack of concentration forces the ship into a nosedive.
Which, I guess, is how this works?
Yeah, I guess. Well, the ship is like being propelled by skeletons, so he's controlling them.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
why
What
is...
are they doing? Just fucking frog kicking off the back?
Okay, so the skeletons are keeping it in the quote-unquote air, and
I
now
guess.
he can't keep it...
Yeah.
Sure.
Just accept it. There are
Whenever
no...
he's not looking at the skeletons, they all just collapse in a heap.
There are no physics applied to this situation. There's no way we can understand this, okay? Just accept it.
The physics are beyond my understanding.
Exactly.
It's God shit, I can roll with that.
Thor takes off just in time before the vessel crashes into the golden pathway. Seth survives the fall, but beaten and now missing a hand, he is subjected to the judgment of his brother. Horus declares that he will be cast out, a fate which Seth fears even more than his own death. He is tossed off the pathway and into the abyss of space, floating alone in his banishment. As he leaves, Osiris and Isis are restored to their former vitality. Thor approaches the Allfather, who still isn't quite all there, but the Egyptians say that he freed himself from their spell, despite the fact that he doesn't know who the hell he is.
Ah.
The gods part ways, and everything is fine now. The end.
Yep, everything's good. It's great, even.
So,
Odin learned so much about humanity.
he did. How'd you guys like this one?
Better than the last one, 2.5.
It was better than the last one. I will give it that. Yeah.
It could have been up to 3, but it got docked half a star for Jane's womanly tears.
She was so useful a couple issues ago.
Right.
And now all she can do is cry and beg.
Again.
2.5.
What do you think it's rated on CMRO?
3.
I don't want to think.
3.25.
2.96.
Okay, I was pretty close the first time.
You were pretty close. So next we have Thor number 242 from September of 1975, written by Len Wein, another guy,
Okay.
a third guy, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Joe Sinnott, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by John Costanza, and cover art by Gil Kane.
Hold on. This time they're actually... last time it said, when the servitor commands, and this time it says, when the servitor commands. The only time we've had that little, been consistent is when we lost our, last major writer.
Well, they must have communicated in some way.
Yes, communication is important when you're writing comics.
So, just in the case you forgot, our heroes were just inside the pyramid this whole time.
Yeah.
They exit now, to the surprise of those outside. Thor informs the general, or whoever, that the soldiers can all go home. But the pyramid remains, though the larger issue to me is the town that the pyramid destroyed, all the people it displaced, and the casualties that have definitely occurred.
It's fine, it's fine.
So I have questions. Why are the army letting all these looky-loos that close?
I don't know.
It's fine, it's fine.
We have had 3 writers over the course of this story, and every single one has seemed determined to ignore the reality of a fucking pyramid rising from underneath San Diego.
Well, Roy did a thing, and
then he was like, alright, next. Anyway, Thor creates a vortex that sends the pyramid away somewhere. and it's fine.
He can do that?
Yeah, he's done that before.
He's made pyramids go away?
Well, not pyramids.
Other shit.
Yeah.
He can just throw his hammer and things vanish into the void?
Yeah.
Close enough.
Basically.
Okay, I don't remember that, but...
Also, when it appeared, it was definitely below a town. Orin and Judith were literally in a building that got destroyed by it. But now there's an orange grove there, and it's completely intact.
Why is it an orange grove? I thought we were grape pickers.
I don't know.
California?
Also, what happened to Tomas and the other picketers? Where did they go?
Don't worry about it. They're dead. They're all dead now.
Are we ever going to get back to the strike story?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
I would love for a writer to remember that storyline and pick it back up 50 years later.
Write a letter to Al.
The strike breakers have been striking for 50 years, or the strikers have been striking. The strike breakers are also there, I guess.
The strike breakers went on strike, ironically enough.
After the pyramid disappears, Odin comes fully back to himself, addressing his son and agreeing to return to Asgard. However, once he realizes that Jane is there, his attitude completely changes. Based on the end of the last issue, you might have thought that they were on at least neutral terms, but oh no. Odin is still fervently against his son's relationship with the mortal woman and forbids him from returning to Asgard until he breaks up with her.
What?
Doesn't he recognize Sif's soul?
No, I guess not. We then get some intense whiplash as Judith approaches the Allfather. She isn't certain how to address him, but he is strangely gentle and assures her that she need not bow or pray to him. He says that he owes her and that she taught him so much about humanity and humility or something.
Did she?
No.
Now, if we take this at face value, it is absolutely insane that these two events take place on the same page. However, if we consider our theory that Odin has narcissistic personality disorder, it makes a lot of sense. Because he's already decided that he doesn't like Jane. In the past. He's not going to change his mind. How can he be wrong?
Also, he probably can sense a Sif's soul in there.
Yeah.
And how dare Jane kill Sif?
But, you know, he did all of this so that he could learn the ways of humanity, so there's no way that he didn't do that, right? Because he's the best.
This is a page, alright.
There's so much happening on this page.
I like the art.
Yeah.
It's well drawn, but oh god.
Anyway, Odin returns to Asgard in a flash of light, leaving Judith with a golden rose to remember him by.
And her cult will live on.
They will. Thor and Jane fly back to New York, with Jane apologizing for getting in the way of his relationship with his father. Honey, that's not what happened, and that isn't your fault. Thor begins to assure her that everything will be fine, but he pauses on the threshold of her apartment when he hears voices.
Who could it
Again? Maybe it's people wondering why her fucking door is knocked off its hinges.
Possibly.
I like our view of the Twin Towers.
Never forgot. The God of Thunder crashes in through the window, prepared to beat the intruders to a bloody pulp. But inside he finds only his friends.
Oh, he's done this a second time then.
Thor, you're gonna have to pay for that. Wait, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I realize that Don can probably afford a window, but you're gonna have to pay for that.
Can he afford it? He hasn't been doing his job for months.
You know?
He came back to his practice for 3 weeks and was like, I'm not leaving again so soon, and then immediately left.
You know, do you think he even still has that apartment?
Yes.
No, I think he's staying with Jane, frankly.
Oh no, Thor!
So yeah, with the return of Odin, the Warriors 3 were relieved of duty and came to visit and partake of whatever adventures Thor might get up to in the near future. Jane is happy to finally meet them, and goes to fetch some drinks as everyone settles in.
And ignore the broken glass, it's only dangerous to Jane.
It's fine. Except Thor, who silently broods about his shitty dad. Jane comes back with lemonade, which Hogan graciously thanks her for. Fandral asks if she has something stronger, and she says that there's a warm bottle of Pepsi in the kitchen.
Ooh.
Pepsi sure is stronger. Did Pepsi pay you? Is that what...
We don't have time to process this statement, as a huge pair of hands breaks through the wall and grabs Jane.
Why?
Because...
So we're blaming the window on that, right?
Yes. When we call the landlord,
And
that's what we do.
when her insurance covers this, they're going to cover the window.
Yeah.
Because that's not an act of God. i.e. Thor.
Right, no. The Asgardians leap to their feet as Jane is pulled back through the hole. They exit to find a giant Spartan robot called the Servitor, who commands Thor to obey its commands, lest Jane's life be forfeit.
Again.
Of course, Thor isn't going to just agree with that.
I'm just trying to process this robot here.
It's a lot. The design is a lot. The Spartanness has nothing to do with anything either. I promise you.
Why?
I like this idiot parked in the no parking zone.
That's
You're
why
gonna
you
get
don't park there, fool.
Ticket, idiot. So Thor's not going to agree, hurling his hammer at the monster. Jane narrates the interaction as the servitor deflects the blow, sending Mjolnir crashing into a car parked on the street. Before that idiot parked in the no parking zone.
Yeah, he's still going to get a ticket.
Well, yeah.
But now he has a car with a giant set of holes in it.
Yep. Before it flies back up to its master's waiting hand. The servitor repeats that he was sent by his master to get Thor's help with something, and that if he doesn't agree, Jane will be crushed.
This is if you just asked, there's a decent chance he would have said yes.
This keeps happening to Thor. I don't know why. This just keeps happening. Yet again, the boys kindly refuse this offer, leaping onto the robot together. Hogan and Fandral set to smacking the servitor to distract it, while Thor tries to free Jane from its grip. Volstagg apparently didn't quite make the jump, and is making his way slowly to the ground in a series of fat and cowardly jokes that don't bear repeating.
Dang it, we're back. So this is what it means to reset Thor.
Yeah. The Odinson sets to prying apart the giant's hands, while Hogan urges him on, noting that their blows seem to do little against the golden armor of their new enemy.
I miss Hercules.
I'm glad to have the Warriors 3 back, though.
I love the Warriors 3.
But I miss Hercules.
Well, he's in California now.
Yeah, but...
He's in a better place.
Wait.
A warmer place.
If he was in California, why wasn't he going after
he was at LA and they were in San Diego.
Fire.
Oh no, because that's so far away.
It's so far away.
It's because it took
was
Jane
impossibly far
so
away.
long to get there. It must have been impossible for Hercules, who was already in the state, to get there.
Yeah, it was impossible. By the strength of his muscles, Thor manages to free Miss Foster and carry her away from the fracas before returning to help his buddies. Before he can make it, though, the servitor hits him with a beam from his rod. It's always the beams, man.
Mm-hmm.
Stopping him in his tracks as he fights against the battering force. From the sidelines, Jane has located a pipe, which she now intends to use to beat this asshole into a bloody pulp.
Well,
We're back on. She's got some fight in her again, huh?
Yeah.
we can't decide
To
what
be
she
fair,
has.
she was empty-handed last time.
Okay, yeah, she's usually pretty confident when she's got a fucking weapon.
Yes.
When she has some kind of stick.
Yeah. Get her a sword. I say let her have at it, but Volstagg has other ideas. He stops her, saying that she will distract the Thunder God and make the battle more difficult. She fights against his grip, but nearby, Thor tells her that he's right and she should stay out of it because she's a woman. The servitor plucks Hogan off his back and holds him in its grasp, threatening to crush him in an instant. Luckily, Thor arrives just in time to save his bud, who drops down to join Fandral on the ground offensive. The servitor is getting pretty annoyed with this, but knows that he can't kill Thor because his master wanted the Odinson alive. Instead, it bats him away like a fly. Hogan and Fandral rush in for an attack, but get wharfed immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Thor then throws Mjolnir into the ground, or through the ground, and it somehow throws the section of road that the servitor is standing on into the air. causing the robot to lose balance.
Welcome to the same physics that made a boat that was in space
But falling.
fall.
Yeah. So with the behemoth on the ground, Thor is able to approach on equal footing and smack its mace out of its hand. He then climbs up to its head, preparing to strike the final blow. The servitor surrenders, begging for mercy, which our hero is not obliged to give. Before the hammer comes down, however, Thor is interrupted by a blast of energy from nearby. It's the servitor's master, otherwise known as Zarko, the Tomorrow Man.
Holy fuck! That's a callback.
Don't you guys remember Zarko, the Tomorrow Man? Who
No.
was
Vaguely.
last seen in Thor number 102?
I remember the name of Zarko the Tomorrow
Over
Man.
100 issues ago.
He was a time traveler, right? And then he got,
Yeah.
swooped away.
So, Zarko was actually introduced in that story where Thor was helping the army test nuclear bombs on him.
Right, and he wanted nuclear bombs because they were all out of nuclear bombs
Yes.
in his future.
So-
and he wanted to rule the future with nuclear bombs.
Yeah, so he comes from a future where all weapons have been outlawed, I guess. But he's evil, so he used a time machine to go into the past to steal a cobalt bomb, which he wanted to use to rule in his era,
Yes, I recall.
basically.
The man does not really understand how weapons of mass destruction work.
Well, he's from a time that has no weapons, so you can't really blame him for that.
True, you got me there.
Zarko explains that he didn't send his servitor here to fight the Asgardians, which, if true, it seems like he didn't communicate that very well with old Servi over here.
Well, look, he only knows one thing.
Also, this is literally the second time this exact thing has happened. It happened with Galactus and Firelord.
Yep, I recall.
Instead, he seeks their aid, lest the entire world meet its end.
Aren't you from a doomed future?
Yeah.
Which world are you?
He's kind of just, I don't know, he's just like a time travel guy, and he's just around now. So what did you guys think of this issue and the shocking return of Zarko?
There's something unhinged about
Oh, the way that it keeps changing writers in every issue?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting crazy whiplash here. 2, I guess?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to process everything that has happened.
I didn't mind Len, but this story was so stupid.
Yeah. What story? There was no story in this issue.
Right, exactly. I didn't mind the stuff he was writing, but what the fuck?
I'm trying to process how we got here, which I can't. It hurts.
It's a lot. It just keeps, yeah.
I feel like I'm sick
They
again.
don't start coming.
I feel like I'm sick again. Like the world isn't making sense. But no, it's not that.
It's not the world, it's just these comics.
It's just these comics. As a serialized bit of storytelling, it does not make sense.
So, I feel like I glossed over a lot of things and went through this really fast, but I hope you can understand why. Because it doesn't make sense.
The amount of stuff that got retconned, and then retconned, and then retconned in the course of about 5 issues.
Uh-huh.
What?
John is
the
going
hell?
insane.
Pick
John
a
is...
fucking rating.
I did too. I
Okay.
already did. I'm not done with.
It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
Uh,
It's okay. So, it's okay. We're with Len now. Len's gonna be with us for a little bit.
Is that good? Because
I mean, it's
We'll
better
see.
than this.
well, I'll give
It's
it.
better than switching writers every issue.
It isn't terrible on its own. It's that as the culmination of a series of different writers.
It's also very Silver Age.
Yeah.
So, what do you think this is rated on CMRO?
3.5.
3.5, yeah, I'm there.
2.5.
2.5. Alright, they weren't happy either.
They don't like the return of the Silver Age.
No. Let me see if there's any reviews on this issue. There is. This issue was something straight out of the mid-60s.
Oh my god.
I would almost say that it held a novel quality, but the issue isn't ironic. It seems to just take itself seriously. Thanks to JFPJ 1991 on CMRO.
Thanks, JFPJ.
Riker Donegal says, Odin behaves like a dick again, and Jane Foster is threatened to use against Thor again. Beyond that, we have an issue that is 2/3 a battle that turns out, in the end, to have been a giant misunderstanding. Unsatisfying, 4 out of 10.
Woo-hoo!
2 out of 5. Simplify those fractions.
Yeah.
Why did you rate it out of 10? What the fuck?
I don't know.
That's not even how...
JFPJ went on to say, the first thing we come across is the power of Thor's hammer to turn a pyramid into a thriving forest. Where on earth did his mallet get these sort of powers, and why has he never deemed to clean up after himself like this before?
That's a... See,
That's not fair. He goes and he puts perfect circles of road back in place all the time.
yes, perfect circles of road made out of pieces of road. He's using the road to make road. He's not putting oranges in the middle of New York.
I'm just saying, he cleans up after himself.
Yes,
He's
but
a good boy.
He's not turning rubble into farm fields normally.
There's even more comments that are really good. Duhog says, and we have a misunderstanding again.
That's the most common problem Thor runs into, really.
Right, that's the biggest issue Thor has.
Kez said, wow, capturing Jane Foster. What a fantastic and original idea. Riker Donegal has a comment also that says, I've been reading Thor since number 193, and one of the constants of this series is, Odin behaves like a dick. Really, why does anyone in Asgard follow him? He is, at this point, the biggest ass in Marvel Comics.
He's the real villain.
Ilcom94 says, what was the point of the storyline where Odin sends himself to Earth to learn humility if he is just as much of an ass as before?
And they did it on the same page, too!
Okay, anyway.
This one issue. Imagine reading these in real time. Imagine being a loyal Thor reader.
In the year of our Lord, 1975.
Yes, imagine having been a, I don't know, maybe Jerry got your attention somehow. And so your understanding of Asgard is a place that can be knocked over by aliens.
No letters.
Easily.
Well, that's it for the first half of our show. If you could do us a favor and hit all the buttons, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
Tell us some shit, too. That would be awesome. We're on Tumblr, Twitter, Twitter, hang on. Tumblr, Jeter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, all these places, theoretically. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your boss, tell your coworker, tell everybody.
Tell the president.
Cry it out for the world to hear.
Go to the UN.
Tell
the world.
Attack the UN.
Don't attack the UN. We're not signing off on that.
We do not endorse attacking the UN.
Wink.
This is not an endorsement.
No, never. Bye.
Now that we're back with the X-Men half of the show, do you guys want to tell me what happened last time on X-Men?
I would like to, but my brain is still conjuring it.
All right.
Uh,
Do you need a hint?
Yes.
No.
All right.
Was Magneto there?
Magneto was there at the end. I remember what happened with Scott and Lee. I remember...
La
Yes,
Contessa.
okay. So, first of all, we were in Spider-Woman. That's what I was having trouble
That's
remembering.
why it's so hard to remember what happened last time in X-Men.
Yes.
Because we spent so much time not in X-Men.
Yes, so we were hanging out with Spider-Woman. She's
got a whole life and shit.
Well, yes. So,
Shocking.
most of what happened with Spider-Woman was irrelevant to us, but we did read it. She wanted Nick Fury to sign her recommendation to get her PI's license.
Which
Yep.
apparently is someone that would, if they recommend it, I guess anyone will let it happen. If he's the one recommending it.
I
Well,
mean, you gotta figure. He's like the head of an intelligence agency. If he says someone's gonna be a good PI.
Then if you say no, he might kill you.
Well, yeah, and La Contessa was there, and she needed different pants.
Desperately.
Desperately. And then Jessica was gliding home, but she got attacked by Morgan Le Fay, of all fucking people.
Apparently they got beef.
And then she went home, and her roommate was like, "Oh, I'm having a housewarming party right now that I didn't tell you about."
But her roommate is so cool that she convinced Jessica it was a good idea.
So they were having a party, and then...
She was macking on their landlord.
Yeah, which seems like a great idea. And then she heard a sonic scream because Black Tom and Juggernaut and Banshee's long-lost daughter were trying to steal a bunch of vibranium from the Mint.
Well, where else are you going to store vibranium in San Francisco?
I guess. Yeah, so she heard that, and then she went to go figure out what the fuck that was about. And she beat up Black Tom and Siren, but then got wrecked by the Juggernaut.
As most people tend to, because he's the Juggernaut.
Bitch. And then she went back to her party. Well, she almost got arrested. But then she went back to her party.
Which makes you wonder how long that party was.
And she was fine. But then the X-Men showed up because Cerebro picked up a new mutant.
And for a hot second, they thought it was her.
They thought it was Jessica, but it was not Jessica. It was Siren. So the X-Men and Spider-Woman teamed up to take out Black Tom and Juggernaut and Siren, who were on a boat.
Yep.
For some reason.
Well, they need to get that hot vibranium out of the country.
Right. So they fought, and it was like a whole thing, and the boat got exploded. And Black Tom went to jail, and Juggernaut went to the bottom of the ocean.
He'll be fine. He's the Juggernaut.
But they managed to not have Siren get arrested and reunite her with her father.
Yep, that happened
Yep.
in X-Men.
Yes, and then we read one X-Men issue.
There was a weirdo. Okay, first there was a party. Another party.
Yeah. So, Kitty, Storm, Stevie...
Yep,
Yes,
Stevie Hunter.
and Jessica, Drew, not Jones, they were going to a club because Dazzler was singing there.
Because Dazzler is relevant.
She is. She's around.
She's actually got her own whole series going on that we're not reading.
Oh, also, Angel doesn't want to be in the X-Men anymore because he doesn't like Logan. So...
Is anyone
dangerous.
Is anyone
put a pin in
shocked?
that.
Pretty sure he got pissy with Logan in that first night issue, too.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that someone is beefing with Logan.
Right.
What?
He's so agreeable.
He's the most... They always call him the friendliest X-Men. Why would you have beef with him?
Oh, I just noticed we have Wolverine on our suggested issues for Len Wein. Anyway.
Reminds me.
Yeah, this is the wrong thing. So, anyway, yeah. So a guy named...
Oh, God.
What was his name?
I don't know. I'm sure he had a name.
Caliban. A guy named Caliban climbed out of the sewer because he sensed the other mutants nearby.
He sensed people like him.
People like him. So he came up to the club and kidnapped Kitty because she didn't listen to Storm. and they all had a big fight about it, and they had to save Kitty. But then when Caliban got beaten, they were like, "We want to help you," and he was like, "Oh, good." But then cops came, and he was scared, so he went into the sewer again.
Yep. What happened with Scott and Lee?
So they went into the Temple of the Old Ones.
Which, you should definitely do when you see
cool.
a sunken
they were
city.
Hungry.
They were hungry.
When you see a sunken city, you go into it.
Because they're stranded. So they found this sunken city that rose from the deeps. And they went into it, and they couldn't really find anything. And then Lee was like, I want to do the fuck on you. And Scott was like, no, I'm sad. And she got mad, and then he was like, how bad of me to reject unwanted advances.
By my boss.
By my boss.
That's definitely. I'm definitely not going to bring it up with HR.
There is no HR.
No.
And then she came back and apologized, and then they fucked for some reason.
Because he changed his mind, I guess.
I guess.
He
That's a
felt
good apology.
guilty.
He felt guilty about
it was
refusing.
a really good apology.
Honestly, the whole situation feels really gross and weird, but...
Yes.
And then they were starving to death, but then Magneto showed up.
Yep. And Scott was very much hoping that he didn't recognize him, despite the fact that he had his eyes covered like he always has his eyes covered.
Right, yeah.
Hope he doesn't know it's me!
Hope
also,
so.
I want to win a Toys R Us shopping spree.
Yeah!
$3,000!
$3,000?
At Toys R Us?
Holy shit.
Wow! I could get so much stuff!
Wowee.
So yeah, we're seeing advertisements for the Toys R Us shopping spree, so keep in mind that while the Dark Phoenix saga was concluding, the Avengers were getting this totally equally good story.
So, oh no.
Let's see. Let me see if I can figure out who all these characters are. We've got Hawkeye, Iron Man, Wanda, Vision, Captain America, the Wasp, Miss Marvel. There's Motherfucker Unlimited.
Motherfucker Unlimited, Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, Thor and Jocasta, and I think this is Wonder Man.
That is Wonder Man.
Nailed it!
Wonder
Oh
Man.
yeah, and Beast is there also. Looking like a weirdo.
This story is Avengers 200 from July of 1980, written by Jim Shooter, George Perez, Bob Layton, and David Michelini. So you know it's going to be good when you...
Wait, how many?
4.
Oh no.
Penciled by George Perez, inked by Dan Green, colored by Barry Grossman, and lettered by John Costanza.
Well, it's a special issue, so that's not uncommon.
It's double length, so...
It's not
there
uncommon
tend
to
to
have
be-
several writers.
Yeah.
Got 3 new names here, one of which I'm going to warn you I don't think I can be objective about because I objectively hate him.
Oh no.
The new names are Jim Shooter, David Michelini, and Barry Grossman. Okay, who wants to take bets on the lucky winner?
Jim Shooter.
Barry
That's the only one I
Grossman?
recognize.
For those of you who guessed Barry Grossman, no, you're wrong about that. He seems fine. He's done a lot of Archie comics. It's kind of where he came up. Some Marvel, a lot of kids' cartoons. From the stuff I've read, he seems like kind of a big kid at heart. But on the other hand, he's got his serious side. He did the illustrated version of the 9/11 Commission report, for example.
Oh, great.
What?
So, strike one. For those of you who guessed David Michelini, you're also wrong.
Ha!
David Michelini is fine. He had a lengthy run on Spider-Man and is well known for his work on Iron Man as well. He created all kinds of well-known characters like Scott Lang, Venom, Carnage, Rhodey, and Justin Hammer.
He made Scott Lang. Somebody's got to make a better,
The better Ant-Man.
yeah.
Surprisingly, I can't find much personal information about him. You can find interviews, but he seems very professional, content to talk about his work.
Well, some people don't want to be a public persona.
I did find one story I liked, though. So he started off at DC, and one of his stories, somehow, rather than ending up through the auditioning process he was applying for, ended up in the editor's slush pile.
Ooh.
So one of the assistant editors was like, "This is really good. We'd love to work with you, but I'm sorry, we only work with people who live around New York." So guess what our buddy Dave does?
He moves to New York?
He throws all his shit in his Corolla and drives to New York at the drop of a hat, and then they pretty much had to hire him.
Good for him.
Wow.
Unfortunately for me, there are only 3 candidates, so no one's going to be striking out. Instead, we're going to face up to Jim Shooter. I can't fucking stand Jim Shooter.
I won.
I don't know him.
Editor-in-chief over for a good while over at Marvel. The Egomaniac also wrote some of the worst fucking event comics I've ever read.
Oh no, we're in a special.
Mega corporate. Fun fact though, he's 6'7". That's as many as 79 inches. And that's terrible.
Yeah, I'm like, Jim Shooter's the only one I recognize, so...
He was too tall and scared everyone from trying to talk him out of things.
When you were looking that up, is that the one that someone said was 7 feet tall, and you were like, that can't be true?
Yeah, that was exactly the person. Okay, so... Many of the Avengers pace outside the medical bay, waiting for Ms. Marvel's labor to end.
Oh yeah, she had a baby, I guess.
That's right, she's pregnant.
She has kids?
Was.
We're off to a great start here. Don's the one doing the delivery, of course, because even though he's not an obstetrician, he's just that good, baby.
He's just that good.
Welcome at any emergency room or medical event.
I mean, he's the Avengers on-call doctor. He's already there.
But the rest of the Avengers, sans Jocasta, can do fuck all to help. I like that Wonder Man and Beast are both pacing. Like, they're kind of buddies in the Avengers comics. You know, when he's not busy spilling every bean in the place to the X-Men.
I mean, I only know Wonder Man as that pacifist guy who used to be an Avenger.
That's in the future.
Fact of the matter is, no one really knows how the hell this happened, and it's not a lack of sex ed in this case.
It would be funny if it was.
No, it's more the fact that she only fell pregnant 3 days ago.
Oh.
Abortion loophole.
So, we've got an Umbrella Academy situation.
Oh no.
The mystery only grows more mysterious inside the surgery chamber, as Carol doesn't appear to be in any pain. Not any physical pain, anyway. She's definitely upset about the situation.
She better be.
Yeah.
Outside, still more Avengers join the growing posse. Vision and Wanda a few minutes ago, and now Hank and Janet. And tailing everyone, here comes Jarvis.
Hank? Is that where you keep your wings, or do you just have a recreational hump?
I think that's where he keeps
That's
his wings.
his fucking ridiculous-ass shoulder pads, in fact.
I hate everything about him.
Just in general.
Yes. Look.
Looking forward to the day that he gets absorbed into Ultron.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Inside, the baby is coming, smooth and easy. Carol doesn't even feel the contractions.
You know, as babies do. Smooth.
And easy.
She's not pushing, but nevertheless, the baby is coming.
She does look kind of dead.
A few moments later, a baby boy emerges into the world with an entire house full of happy aunts and uncles.
But a very unhappy mom.
As soon as they get the all clear from Dr. Don, the Avengers all pile in to gather around the baby's incubator, cooing over the little guy.
I feel like there should be, I don't know, a little more caution about a baby that is fully formed in
3 days.
Yeah.
Finally, someone stops to think about Ms. Marvel, and Janet flits off to go check on her. When she catches up, Wonder Man is wheeling her down the hall towards her room so she can recuperate. Jan then quickly shoves her whole ass foot in her mouth by congratulating the proud parent. For a baby well made, I guess?
Yeah, in 3 days.
Yeah, congrats on being an oven.
Efficient. I guess it's enough to make Carol snap at her. She feels used, violated. She didn't choose to have a baby. She was forced to have a baby.
Uh-huh.
Oh, thank God.
Some time out in the garden finds the Scarlet Witch in a rather soft mood. She's recently been thinking a lot about kids and how specifically she and Viz don't have any.
Yet.
Give it time. You'll have some.
Despite all of that, after seeing the baby, she seems to at least be at peace. Something that I'm not sure Jocasta fully gets as she watches down on them from the window above. In the den, Beast and Hawkeye have settled in for a game of pool. Hawkeye's got some impressive moves, but he doesn't realize Beast has something better. See, to this point he's been losing games, but that was before he busted out the graphing calculator.
Oh my god.
Which told him the perfect angle he needs to knock all the balls in the hole in one.
That's not how this works, Beast.
Clint has been pool sharked.
That's not how pool works.
Beast steps away from the pool table to check on the baby, only to find out that he's really more of a toddler now. The incredible growth he'd shown as a fetus seems to be showing no sign of stopping, but the youngster now approximately the size of a 2-year-old. Only moments later he utters his first word. Change.
Don't like that.
Loki vibes.
I have a horrible feeling I know who this is, but I just don't know who it is yet.
Oh, it's... What's his fuck? I
What's
know
his
who
fuck?
it is. Maybe? Maybe I don't know who it is. Anyway, continue.
Interlude. Some random early riser citizen enters the subway in the present and somehow exits it into the past.
In what city?
Maybe New York? Unclear. When Wonder Man returns to check on Carol again, he's surprised to see her up in costume already. But with Dr. Blake's sign-off, she's fully fit and up to be about.
What, they don't have medical leave? God, of course not. It's the Avengers. Well, they have no benefits.
I want to state that there's a difference between up and about and wearing heels, but you know, do you, Carol. Anyway, she wants fuck all to do with this child.
Fair.
Understandable.
Meanwhile, Beast makes his way back to the lab, arms full of sports gear to play with the boy with. You know, in this science lab, makes perfect sense to me. I can think of no place better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
By now, the boy is physically 5 years old, but mentally advanced far beyond these playthings Beast has brought along. He wants materials to build things with, and I don't mean Legos. As the brains of the Avengers marvel over the boy, he announced that his name is Marcus. And I guess Cap reasons that if he's smart enough to build electronics, then he can give Steve the talk, because I guess he never got it. But when asked who his father is, Marcus answers that he is. Rogers doesn't much like being backsassed and is about to give the kid a piece of what's on his mind, but Iron Man interrupts him, happy to give the kids the things he requested in the hopes that they'll finally get some answers.
Also, you know, it's entirely possible that he is.
We'll see.
Interlude 2. Some random lady walks out of her house to get the mail, but turns around to see dinosaurs instead and just fucking dies.
And she brought the mailbox with her.
That's impressive.
Or she faints, but fuck you, she died.
Well,
is she okay?
She's gonna.
Yeah, but she died.
She's gonna be eaten by something. So
That's fine. Circle of life. See his stupid shoulder pads.
Oh, I hate that outfit.
Despite Carol saying she wants fuck all to do with this child, Simon is shocked when Ms. Marvel doesn't show up to see the kid.
Really?
I mean, it's
Buddy.
not like he's aware of how people are.
In the lab, Don watches the child building things. He should tell him about that time he built a robot because he's qualified to do that. That'd make for good conversation. Anyway, the kid looks to be about 12 now. How long before he's free from puberty hell?
How long before he's dead?
Like an hour.
Tony walks in with the important news that the Avengers are supposedly getting crank calls about time fuckery. In a whole separate lab, Jocasta enters where Vision sits, poring over micro-radianalysis graphs of Marcus. He's got some ideas about what's going on here, and ready to tell her when Wanda comes in, and instead he begins to excitedly tell her. Sensing she's not needed here, a dejected Jocasta departs.
Jocasta. I actually really love Jocasta. I haven't read a lot with her, but...
I haven't read much with her. It's hard for me to form a huge opinion on her.
I've experienced her.
She kind of has this thing where she feels left out a lot of the time and wants to fit in with people, but no one really accepts her.
I think it has something to do with the baggage she's bringing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. The Wasp is surprised to see Carol up and about. But yet again, Carol explains that she is fine, and indeed apologizes for going off on Jan like that.
I think Jan should apologize.
Yeah.
I agree.
Carol, you did nothing wrong.
That's all water under the bridge. Everyone is still on their go down and see your kid thing, though, so that's next on the agenda. And it's weird, it's so weird. As soon as she enters the room to meet her full-grown and mostly naked son, she, quote, steels herself, bracing for a resurgence of the loathing and humiliation she had felt before, waiting for the smell of fear and anger she knows will follow. But it doesn't. For as she steps forward to face the slender young man who awaits her, she feels instead an odd sense of calm, along with an unexplainable and undeniable attraction. He then calls her mother on the same page as if to rub it in.
Oh, no.
This comic is so fucking gross.
Jim, why? Why, Jim?
Who wrote those lines?
None of them will take credit for it. Honest to God.
Did you look into this?
No one will take credit for who is responsible.
Wait,
for
are you
this.
telling me this is like
There are 4 writers and no one will take credit.
You're telling me that this is infamous.
This is a notoriously bad comic.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna blame Jim for this one.
I'm with you. Fuck yeah, it's Jim's fault. Carol's confused, though. She recognizes...
Oh my God, give the man some pants.
Well, he keeps growing. Who knows how long they'll fucking fit?
I think he's full size.
Wrap him in a towel, a better towel than this, maybe. Maybe not one that's, like, actually a washcloth.
Yeah.
Carol's confused, though. She recognizes the young man before her. He promises to explain later after ending whatever the flux is, but that's when an explosion rocks the mansion.
That's a thing that happened in Doctor Who that I didn't watch.
I did.
Doctor Who gave birth to himself? Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, actually. I know.
Let's not get into that.
No, it's spoilers. It's spoilers. It's spoilers. I hate this man's eyebrows.
The Avengers rush to the windows, stunned to see planes and spacecraft for the first time strafing the mansion, while a badly drawn T-Rex tears at the building with his claws.
That is a really bad T-Rex. And also an impossibly huge T-Rex.
I will give it credit for one thing. This is relatively accurate for the understanding of dinosaurs at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Avengers had to do something about this. And so at Cap's order, they get their shit together, and Iron Man leads the charge by flying through his own damn window.
Yeah, he does that.
Poor fucking Jarvis. No one pays any mind to the mess Jarvis has to get cleaned up.
There's gonna be so much glass.
Use the door, you fucking caveman.
No, look, he's punching a dinosaur. What, you think he's gonna use a door to punch a dinosaur?
Anyway,
he's not gonna use the door, he's gonna use his fist.
He flies out and attacks the T-Rex. Thanks, guys. You helped with that one.
Sorry.
Watching the situation on one of the screens in his lab, Vision decides Tony needs some help and T-poses through the ceiling off the...
You no clips.
Since Scarlet Witch doesn't have that option, she makes for the door, where she's faced with a knight on horseback.
Cool.
Her garb and name suddenly work against her as the knight rightly puts together the pieces of her costume and name and decides he shall not suffer a witch to live.
Wow, judgy.
Right?
Well, he is a knight.
Raising his lance high, the knight charges at the woman. Wanda might not have a horse and lance, but she's got a few tricks of her own. As the horse draws ever nearer, suddenly the knight's lance turns against him. Struck by a hex bolt, it wriggles to life, wrapping itself around the knight's head.
Ew.
Rip.
After a few tense moments, he falls from his horse, leaving Wanda safe and sound. Outside, her dear hubby has come to Iron Man's rescue, taking on some of the flying craft around him while Shellhead KOs the Thor.
Wait, is that an alien?
Yeah, that's a UFO.
Yep, there's a UFO, there's also a biplane.
I see the biplane.
There's shit from all over time. Inside, Beast, Hawkeye, and Cap are still making for the doors to help beat back the onslaught of invaders. When the onslaught comes to them in the form of a group of Native American braves, peppering the door with flaming arrows as soon as the heroes show their faces.
Who are pink, as all Native Americans are.
True.
This is cringe. They're posting cringe.
Egyptians are gray, Native Americans are pink.
Clint is sure this is all Marcus's fault, though Cap wants to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Now?
He orders Hawkeye to help him fight, but doesn't actually check to make sure he does. If he did, he would have only seen Barton's retreating back, determined that this is all because of that machine Marcus was building. And so it's back to the lab again. Yep, this old rhapsody.
God, fuck.
Obedience isn't the lesson of the day back in the lab either. Instead of staying put protecting Marcus like Cap ordered him to, Wonder Man, aw shucks, it's a shame Jarvis never passed that order along, wink wink, about it, and he flies out through the ceiling. Meanwhile, Marcus continues work on his machine. Seeing the increasing danger, Carol spirits Don off to a particularly strong closet and shoves him inside to keep him safe.
Yeah, because they don't know that Don is Thor at this point.
That is amazing. I didn't realize...
It comes up later.
I didn't realize how long he kept that secret from...
Quite a while.
So Don Blake is just their doctor.
Yeah, he's just their doctor. Completely coincidentally. He just happened to be there for some mysterious reason.
Well, he was here because Carol was giving birth.
And he stayed because...
Well, yeah, but how did they know him before that is the question.
Great question. Highly recommended.
Thor recommended it because he's his personal doctor.
Tony also knew him before this, so...
Well, he needed a tune-up.
Well, he's qualified for that because he built a robot. Fuck. I hate this. I hate comics sometimes.
Oh God, I just noticed the terrible hand.
Yeah. Ooh. His thumb is on the wrong side.
And that expression isn't exactly good either.
I don't know, his fingers all look like thumbs to me.
That looks like some AI bullshit.
It does.
Well, being shoved in the closet was actually much to the physician's relief, because this is the perfect inconspicuous moment to transform into the mighty Thor.
No one's gonna notice Thor burst out of this closet that Dawn just went into.
Right?
And
Gosh, Thor, lucky you're here now. Things have gone to shit.
Where'd Dawn go? Anyway, it's fine.
He was in that closet that's been destroyed?
Oh, shucks. It's okay, I took him somewhere else.
When Wonder Man bursts through the roof, ready to rumble, he's almost immediately blasted out of the sky by laser guns now perched atop of the mansion. But he's still able to be helpful. Another dinosaur, this time a pterodactyl, grabs Iron Man. Lucky for him, a giant snake attacks Simon at the same time, so he throws the snake at the dinosaur, and I guess that somehow helps the situation.
What the fuck is going on?
So much.
This is just chaos.
Oh, God.
Finally, Thor shows up.
Fdud.
And I would really like to know how he managed to sneak out of here without anyone noticing. He makes this whole speech about how he feels something strangely familiar about Marcus. But he'll deal with that after he stomps some asses into the ground. So he whirls up a tornado to throw all the dinosaurs and spaceships and assorted debris somewhere the fuck else.
Uh-huh. See, I told you he does that.
Hey, wait. Thor, don't you have the ability to time travel?
Yes.
Can't you just go back, I don't know, for like 15 minutes and warn everyone and solve this?
No, of course not.
Inside, and what I'm sure is a literature reference I haven't read, is what I'm going to call a chevalier, probably incorrectly. He holds Jarvis at sword point, demanding to know something about Rochefort, whom the fuck ever that is. This might be a Three Musketeers thing we're doing. But anyway, he stops hassling him when Jan and Hank also disobey orders and come to his rescue with an assload of ants.
And then Jarvis punches the guy.
Yup. Good for him.
This man was not prepared for ants.
No one's prepared for ants. Elsewhere in the mansion, our brave knight from earlier has managed to disentangle himself from his lance.
Oh, I thought he died.
Nope. He's still alive and still caught up in his witch fervor.
How did he remove the thing from his head?
Maybe he just took his helmet off.
For a second.
He draws his sword, advancing on Wanda. She tries to talk him back, rather than unleashing another bolt of whoop-ass on the guy, but he is unbothered. Finally is bothered, though, and a beam shoots out of nowhere, shattering his sword down to just below the hilt. When he whirls to see Jocasta in her brilliant shining chrome, he mistakes her for another knight. A female knight.
Whoa, that's not allowed.
Like any gamer, he immediately becomes furious at the inaccuracy. He went to get back in the kitchen. Never did any fighting. Unga bunga. He tries to stab Jocasta with his sword stub, but that does precisely Dick, and so instead he prostrates himself on the ground before the women, pleading for forgiveness for all of his wrongs against womankind.
Good.
Back to someone else not following orders, JK, it's the first guy. Hawkeye's journey to the lab continues, while inside Marcus has finished his machine. He begs Carol to leave his side while he activates it, but she refuses, so he grabs her face to knock her out. Of course, that's the exact moment Hawkeye rounds the corner. Furious at the betrayal again.
I'm sorry, he calls her mother and then my love.
Yep.
On the same page.
Yep, again. Yep.
Also, his hand is freakish.
His hands are always freakish. We've established this.
Like, they're being consistent about his freakish hands.
Maybe he just got freak hands. Maybe that's what happens when you grow a baby in 3 days.
The hands didn't come out right.
Yeah. Furious at the betrayal against Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye immediately fires off an explosive arrow into Marcus's machine, blowing it to bits.
Oh my god! Reaction!
Enraged, he sets Ms. Marvel down, explaining that he'd been moving her to keep her safe from the machine's energies, but now he's gonna kill Clint for breaking his machine.
You broke my toys!
Suddenly, their dick measuring contest is interrupted by a blast of lightning that throws the pair apart. It's Thor, and now that Dino-Nado is handled, he wants to know why the fuck it is he recognizes Marcus. But Marcus, still in a violent mood, declares that they'll have to kill him first. From the side, though, Carol declares that he will be killing no one. She doesn't believe he's the sort to kill someone like that, though she still doesn't really understand why. But she stands her ground that if he's killing anyone, he'll be starting with her. He defeatedly admits that he wasn't going to kill them, instead intending to commit suicide by Avenger, because, the Avengers are known for just willy-nilly killing people.
Alright.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly killy?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds right.
He couldn't bear the thought of living life alone like he has since the last days of Immortus. No, I don't know what that means yet. Just roll with it. All of a sudden, everything...
it happened in Thor number 282, which we haven't read yet.
So this is because this is the future.
All of
for
a
Thor.
sudden,
Yes.
everything clicks home for Thor as he recognizes the resemblance now. Once upon a time, the ruler of Limbo, Immortus, grew lonely. To find someone to while away the hours with, he went searching through time for the perfect woman. And then he found her, clinging to the debris of a sinking ship. Someone he could pluck from time without it missing her. And so he rescued her, and the pair fell in love. With maybe a little bit of help from some of Immortus's machines. And then the pair boned down. Enter stage down, Marcus. This is all pretty confusing for the new mother, given that she has never once been in a shipwreck. Marcus continues his explanation that while his father in his timeless world was able to raise him in a bubble of time, able to grow and develop, but neither expected that the day would come that time would want the woman back. There seemingly being a limit of time regular folk could live in Limbo. And so she disappeared, assumedly popped back into existence in the middle of the fucking ocean. Maybe you should go get your wife back, buddy. She's gotta drown. When one day, Immortus too disappeared, just like his mother, Marcus could not bear the loneliness. He couldn't just go to Earth either, it wouldn't work. He'd create massive disruption in the space-time continuum. And so he decided to be born there instead. He'd have to find a very special woman to be able to endure the process, though, and that's when he stumbled onto Ms. Marvel, using his father's machinery to pluck her from mid-flight off to Limbo so he could woo her. as you do with your prospective mother, normal things.
How many times has Miss Marvel been fucked with in a bodily autonomy sort of way?
Well, considering she's the feminism hero many times, because that's a good way to make a point. Of course, he had plenty of help. He plucked famous figures from across time to aid in his efforts. He had Beethoven. He had Beethoven compose her a piece of music. William Shakespeare wrote her very own sonnet. Marie Antoinette clothed her in nothing but the finest of garments.
Yeah, Marie Antoinette, known for making clothes.
Right? And yeah, maybe the mind control machines helped just a little bit after all.
Just a tiny bit.
And then, like his father before him, he boned down. This time implanting some essence of himself into the unknowing woman and then returning her back to her ship once more. The machine was meant to stabilize the limbo effect, and had he completed it before he grew to maturity, it might have. But now if he stays, he'll tear the world apart, and that's why he baited the Avengers to kill him. Better that than live alone for the rest of eternity.
Wait, so he's here because he's lonely?
Yeah.
Am I understanding that right? This whole thing
Yes.
is because he's lonely.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, that's pathetic.
He ultimately decides that he'll face his eternity alone. But Carol speaks up. He won't have to face it alone. She'll return to Limbo with him.
And be both his wife and his mother.
Yep, two different
Just
urges.
like every man-child wants.
Two different urges in her pull her there. Part of her still feels some of whatever love she felt in Limbo. And then there's the part of her that sees Marcus as her child. This comic is so fucking... The Avengers ask if she's sure, and she isn't, but she has decided. So, to help the pair on their way, Thor whirls his mighty hammer faster and faster until all three of them disappear.
Because, again, he does that. I don't know how you have forgotten that he does that.
In a flash, all of the time-spun opponents of the Avengers vanish, leaving the Avengers themselves puzzled. Hawkeye, though, feels like a real asshole right about now for blowing up the machine.
Why?
But he hopes Ms. Marvel at least got a happily ever after out of it. So what you guys thinking of that?
One.
Hated it.
That was one of the
That was
worst
painful.
storylines I have ever experienced. And if you wanted to get rid of Miss Marvel, there are better ways to do it than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything about this comic is fucking loathsome. You can't even say it's well executed because it is so jumpy.
Yeah.
All over the place.
So, all because this one guy was lonely, he almost destroyed the world. But no, he's gonna fix it! He's gonna fix it! Wait,
Not to mention the fucking rapiness!
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I was going to say grapiness instead, so I don't tip off the YouTube censors. The grapiness of it all.
God.
Oh, this was
I don't care about the YouTube censors. When have I ever?
This was so
bad.
So bad. No wonder none of the four writers want to take credit for things in this. Someone wrote those lines. Loathsome
fucking comic.
You know, I've experienced some pretty bad comics, but I didn't realize how low the bedrock could actually get.
So what do you think CMRO thought?
I don't.
2.
3.5.
1.81. You were pretty
close.
close.
Thank God.
It's gotta be bad for something to get into the ones because it's got to be pretty much just like you can't really get a 5, you can't really get a 1 because it has to be pretty much unanimous.
Right.
This is so hated. This has so many 1s and 2s from people being particularly generous, I guess.
Yeah.
That it is at a 1.81.
Wow.
But if we get to Kurt's girlfriend in the next one.
No, we're not going to get around to that.
It's
the
just
incest double threat.
It's just I'm starting to get the feeling that this was just something the writers at Marvel were having fun with.
Incest?
Yes!
Okay.
Next up is Avengers Annual 10 from August of 1981. Written by Chris Claremont.
Uh-oh.
Penciled by Michael Golden. Inked by Armando Gil. Colored by Michael Golden. And lettered by Joe Rosen. A few new names here, so let's take a look. Michael Golden. Here's the thing about Michael Golden. He has a website. It says a lot of things. He's got a lot of writings up there. It's a gorgeous fucking looking website too. Graphic design really might be his passion. Unless he just bought a really cool template.
But it can happen.
Or paid someone.
But the problem is, among those writings, I don't know whether they're fiction or non-fiction, and no one else has a ton to say. So at the risk of saying something completely wrong, I'm just going to say nothing other than the fact that one of the things he's best known for is the creation of, well, you'll see. How about Armando Gil? He's currently in prison for grape.
Oh no!
Here we are again, my friends. Here we are again.
See, Captain America totally defeated. Witness the invincible Iron Man knocked out of action. That's never happened. Observe Spider-Woman's daring midnight rescue. Behold the deadly new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Plus, a shocking mystery guest.
All that and a cameo appearance by the Uncanny X-Men.
So, did they not have a cover artist for this one? Because I feel like they didn't have a cover artist for this one.
Mystique looks like...
I like her separate titty socks.
Her separate titty socks, but her face...
It looks sunken.
Looks like...
Bad.
Skin stretched over a skull.
Was that intent? Was that what they were going for back in the day?
I don't think so.
No.
On a gloomy night, a woman, like an unfortunate many before her, plunges from the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh boy.
Luckily for her, she's got a guardian angel. Guardian Spider Angel. Just before she hits the water, a woman swoops beneath her, catching her just before she impacts the water. But Jessica can't fly, she can only glide, and this low to the surface of the water, there's just not enough lift to get her airborne again. She lands with a splash in the notoriously cold, rough waters below, desperate to make it to shore with the unconscious woman. Jessica strains to get them there, but it's going to be a struggle, even for a superheroine. But she meets the struggle head-on, and a few hours later in the hospital, Spider-Woman, Police Lieutenant Sabrina Morrill, and one of the doctors violate HIPAA together, discussing the mystery woman. Rather than getting answers,
Oh, no.
the enigma only deepens. On top of Spider-Woman's suspicion that this woman was pushed off the bridge, she's mentally just like a blank slate. But even more, Lieutenant Morrill knows who she is. Major Carol Danvers of the U.S. Air Force.
Oh no.
She recently vanished off the face of the earth, but now is back again in this catatonic state.
Yay! Yay!
Well, at least she's not with Marcus anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. The next thing she does immediately.
Whoa.
Making things even weirder still, Carol's identification is missing, along with any of the tags on her clothes to make her harder to trace. To get to her attacker, yes.
I'm noticing some issues with this art.
Yeah.
I was noticing it before this page, but holy shit.
Oh my god! It's the first time I've seen it, so...
To get her attacker, the lieutenant needs Carol talking. But in her present state, that's not going to happen. That's when Jess gets an idea, quickly ducking away to grab a phone to make a call. At the other end is Kitty Pryde, who quickly ducks away to pass the phone to the professor.
I was going to focus on Carol's next act of, hey, she's free of Marcus, now she's going to commit suicide. But no, I got way too distracted by the art.
Kitty's face.
Well, Spider-Woman thinks she's been attacked.
Yes.
But yeah, Kitty's face is a lot.
So, like, I've always been under the impression that the reason she usually looked the way she looked was that Chris kind of wanted her looking a little more anime.
I was under the impression she looked the way she did because they were trying to make it obvious that she was a child.
Yeah. That is what I believe, because she just looks like baby.
She looks like baby.
Whatever the instructions were, someone
instructions unclear, dick caught in ceiling fan.
Exactly.
Another thing I'm noticing about this page is that all of the women's crotches just kind of merge into their legs. Which is not correct.
Chuck is not exactly looking.
He's not looking his best.
Like,
he's got a little bit of a caveman brow.
And what's going on with his back? I'm not entirely sure about his anatomy here. Like,
he spent too much time sitting, and now he's starting to slouch.
Like, is he supposed to be twisted? What is going?
He's got scoliosis. Leave the man be.
Yeah.
We didn't send in the A-team.
For sure.
Down in the danger room below, the X-Men are still hard at work in the danger room.
God damn.
They're still trying to put things back in order after Kitty's misadventures with the Ngarai.
Still!
Piotr in particular has been holding up a piece of heavy machinery all morning and is growing increasingly sick of it. Luckily, Kurt thinks they have everything back together and hits the button to great effect. Just maybe not the one he hoped for.
Oh, God.
Well, that was a great effect.
As the professor agrees to Spider-Woman's request in the control room, the circuit is completed and the control panel explodes without warning, knocking Kitty on her ass. A few hours later, Xavier and Aurora arrive in San Francisco, quick to Carol's bedside. While Lieutenant Morrill and the doctor know things aren't great, they can't even suspect how deep the damage done runs.
Oh no, everybody else's eyes are too big too.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Charles's eyes look really weird here.
Yeah, I saw
no
that.
pupils.
I don't think...
That's a style problem.
Yeah, and...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with drawing your eyes a little bit bigger than they realistically are, but it has to match your style.
So,
and this does not.
What definitely happened with Kitty earlier is that whoever's drawing this did not work with the instructions on how to draw Kitty Pryde.
The reason she's unresponsive is that the woman has been wiped clean. Charles thinks with some work he can help draw a lot of the more important things to the surface, but for now he does have something to offer. A mental image of Carol's attacker, a young woman called Rogue.
Oh my.
Is that what we're going with?
She looks away.
She does look away.
Chapters. Hello, Chapters.
Well, it's a double.
That's fair. This isn't Jerry giving us chapters in
a 20-page
book.
Yeah, and they seem random.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that. It was
the chapter that transitioned to the middle of a fight.
Oh, that pissed me off.
It really did.
I missed those. Those are so dumb.
In Central Park, someone is giving a World War II veteran the chair. They give the chair a World War II veteran.
Yeah.
The poor innocent park bench is shattered to pieces after it encounters one flying Steve Rogers. He doesn't normally do that, so something is wrong here.
No shit.
He doesn't do that?
And that something is Rogue.
Uh-huh.
Using Ms. Marvel's stolen memories, she knows everything she needs to about the Star-Spangled Avenger. And using her stolen power, it's all she needs to lay the man flat. Stealing his power too with a kiss. Though she needs to be careful not to hang on too long, lest the transfer become permanent, like with Ms. Marvel.
So...
I hate the way she looks.
Yeah, it does look terrible.
You know,
bad.
I only know about this story in legend. I don't actually know this storyline.
Myths and legends.
I only know of this storyline because Captain Marvel won't stop bringing it up. For obvious reasons.
For fair reasons. Back in Avengers Mansion, the heroes are just chillin', having tea and snacks. Their peaceful afternoon is soon interrupted when Cap comes crashing through the window glass. He's in bad enough shape that the Avengers call Tony to call Don rather than just calling him themselves.
That's how they know Don. It's through Tony. Telling you.
They're too preoccupied with carting their friend off to the med lab. He makes the call, and Dr. Blake is, of course, happy to help. That doesn't mean Iron Man's going to have any easier a time getting out of Stark Enterprises. He's got such daunting foes as his secretary and Janet Van Dyne, who has apparently dropped by for a visit. In Stark's eyes, it's great timing. Even if they're retired, he could really use her and Hank's help to get to the bottom of this. Jan reaches forward, touching Iron Man on the shoulder plates, and then suddenly the Avenger is stuck still, immobilized by a gadget, Mystique, in the guise of Van Dyne, stuck to his shoulder.
Mystique also looks very bad.
Still.
Yeah.
With Iron Man out of the way, Raven calls Rogue, ready to proceed with their plan. Jessica Drew climbs out of a taxi in front of Avengers Mansion. Since Mrs. Danvers tipped off Jess's cop friend that Ms. Marvel and the Avengers might be able to tell her more about what's happened to her daughter, that's exactly where Spider-Woman is fucked off to. As she steps out, though, she spots a familiar figure in green sneaking by the mansion's service alley. Out back, the mighty Thor lands in the courtyard, quickly rapping his hammer upon the ground to turn into mild-mannered Dr. Blake, here to save the day for his old friend. No sooner does he transform into the physician than Dawn, too, is roughly knocked to the ground. Rogue stands over him, slowly drawing off her glove, ready to give him the same treatment she gave Cap.
I'm sorry, her one-liner is, "So true, doctor, and your first patient is going to be yourself."
Look, she's new, she's fresh, she's still working on it.
You gotta workshop these. Come on.
Well, how better than out in the field?
I guess. I hate this design.
It's really bad.
She's so angular.
The young villainess didn't realize that she didn't make it around the mansion unseen. Spider-Woman tackles the woman from behind, knocking her away from Dr. Blake, but Rogue rolls with the attack, throwing Jessica back off her while making a grab to steal her powers as well. Fortunately for Jess, her coochie costume covers enough to thwart Rogue's efforts. A dazed Dr. Blake manages to grope for his walking stick, and while the two women are distracted, in a flash of light, Sparkles is once more on the scene. Just in time to get grabbed in the face by Rogue, who now also has the power of the mighty Thor.
She is not supposed to be able to do that, but
Yeah.
I guess we haven't fully established her powers at this point, so... That gets retconned, I guess, is more the point.
It doesn't seem right that she can do that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right that she can do that.
As Rogue continues to drain Thor dry, Spider-Woman tries to fight back, hitting her opponent with a venom blast. It doesn't so much as leave a dent in the young villainess. The commotion does, however, draw out most of the Avengers still in the mansion. The first to try to come to their friend's aid is Vision. Rogue expects he'll try to turn part of himself partially solid within her to throw her off balance, but she's still got Thor in hand, and so she intercepts with the unconscious Avenger. Unable now to solidify without risking injuring his friend, Viz is distracted and gets decked by Rogue. No power absorption there, but out of the fight is out of the fight.
I don't think she should be able to absorb Vision either. He's a robot.
She can't.
Good.
Wonder Man fires his stupid belt jets into action, flying at the villainess. But when he collides with Rogue, again, she doesn't even budge, shaking off the attack as easily as she did Jessica's Venom Blast.
Well, because she has the power of Thor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does put him close enough for Rogue to get her hands on, but something is wrong. Simon's powers aren't draining into her.
Oh, finally! Now we have some power she can't steal.
Realizing there's something inhuman about the Avengers, she casts him aside, hurling him into a dumpster before taking off.
Yeah, and that's what we think of him.
Bold in the brash, more like belongs in the trash.
I don't know. I don't mind Wonder Man.
I kind of like Wonder Man, actually.
I only know retired Wonder Man.
He can be a little whiny. That's his only problem.
I mean, I only know the retired version of him.
And that one is delightful, so what's your problem?
So I don't know if he was an asshole before then.
Done with this fight for now, she takes off, not wanting to chance losing in the face of Mystique's wrath. Once the Avengers get a chance to tend to the lumps they just took, the ones that didn't have their powers sapped by Rogue gather in the meeting room to discuss Ms. Marvel with Spider-Woman. They're all pretty caught off guard because she just left with Marcus. The Avengers hadn't really expected to see her back again. Then they explain everything we just read to Jessica, who doesn't get why Carol didn't reach back out to her friends if she was back on planet Earth again.
Well, there's a lot of various reasons for that, Jess.
Whoops.
You're a PI. I feel like you should be able to extrapolate some stuff.
Right, but Carol doesn't remember anything.
Well, yeah, but you found her being thrown off a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you go from going off with your son boyfriend
Son friend.
and next time we see you getting tossed off a bridge? Hopefully tossed? Because the alternative is worse?
That's when Beast strides into the room, bearing good news. The other Avengers haven't had it nearly as bad as Carol did and are expected to make a full recovery. He's got more good news, too. Because of some unique qualities in Carol's powers, that now means Rogue possesses those same qualities. They can track her. And that track's got her going straight for trouble. Once upon a time, Rikers Island started leasing space to the feds to house their super criminals.
Oof.
It's there that we catch up with Destiny. Blind though she may be, the woman knows that at this moment a plane flies overhead. The hatch door opens and down falls Iron Man, tumbling down through the night sky, crashing down like a bomb straight into the prison's generator room.
Wow.
Good thing he has armor on.
Killing the machinery that contains these super prisoners. And just like that, there's no locking up the 4 prisoners who'd been expecting the assault. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Why is Blob naked?
He was having alone time.
Great.
Mystique says, "Give me back my wife."
She does. After the plane touches down, the Brotherhood are all reunited once more. But that won't be for long if they don't get a move on. It's mere moments later that the Avengers Quinjet touches down right next to them, tipped off by Jessica's suspicions. It's not that they're gonna go easy. Avalanche and Pyro make big shows of their powers, crumbling away the earth underneath the Quinjet, sending it toppling into the river, and making a big firebird respectively. I'll let you figure out who does what.
I can't imagine.
Avalanche made the Firebird, obviously.
In the fray, Spider-Woman slips off to look for Iron Man. I'm not really clear how they know he's here. Does he wear a transponder or something? But Destiny warns Mystique that if she reaches Iron Man, that's actually a really bad deal for them, so she cannot let that happen. Raven's on board and transforms into Nick Fury as she scrambles in behind Spider-Woman.
She also calls her Irene.
She does, it's really cute, right?
They are married.
They're so married. Meanwhile, back out in the prison yard, Pyro chases Wonder Man through the skies above them with his Firebird. He hasn't quite gotten Simon yet, but with Destiny's help, he finally does, transforming his bird into a hammer, which distracts Williams long enough for Blob to clobber him. To blobber him.
To blobber him.
Knocking him straight through a guard tower.
Well, yeah, clobbering is for someone else. Blob doesn't clobber.
Down below, the rest of the Avengers figure out what they're going to do about this situation. But Beast and Hawkeye have kind of a plan. Called by Destiny, Clint fires a smoke arrow to help hide Beast as he jumps in to vault off of Blob's face to deck Pyro. Of course, that only puts Hank in position to get powdered by the rest of the wreckage of the guard tower. Cowabunga indeed, sweetums. In the midst of the Brotherhood, the Vision rises through the ground, plunging his hand into Blob's chest. Slowly he begins to re-solidify himself, but no matter how dense he becomes, still Blob resists.
Wow.
So caught up in his attack is Vision that he doesn't even see Rogue coming as she clocks him from behind.
If he were human, I'd be worried about brain trauma at this point.
Yeah, he's fine.
Because he's a robot.
Just reconnect the wires.
There aren't too many Avengers left standing now. And I'm sure the Brotherhood stand quaking looking at the resident bowman. That's before Destiny warns that he cannot be allowed to fire his current arrow. Too late, he already has. And moments later, the Screamer arrow erupts, temporarily blinding and deafening nearly all present.
Wow, I didn't realize they were that vulnerable.
Avalanche does manage to knock Barton off his feet, but it's too little too late. Still, Rogue is fighting fit, and Irene sends her off after Spider-Woman as well. Apparently not convinced that Mystique is enough, or perhaps she knows things are going south. In the generator room, Spider-Woman is caught up with Iron Man, laying in the crumpled wreckage of the generator. Tony explains how his armor has been disabled, but as she goes to remove the inhibitor, a voice cries out in warning that it might be booby-trapped. It's Nick Fury! The real Nick Fury! Thank God you're here, Nick! What are you doing with that gun, Nick? Nick?
He's serving on the wall.
Tony cautions her under his breath that Nick Fury is in London right now. And Jess springs away just before the bullets strike.
So unless he can be in two places at once...
I mean...
Oh, he can.
Tug's collar.
He can, actually. That's kind of one of his things. It's been one of his things for a while.
I'm sure he'd understand.
That was one of his things before he was on the wall.
He'd just say, I was just testing you, kid.
Right.
Mystique's best efforts to hit the heroine aren't going anywhere, though. Jessica is just too fast. Jess comes in for a go at her while she's reloading, but manages to miss. She doesn't chase after the villainess, though, concentrating on freeing Tony. Rogue spots Raven as she flees, just in time to get absolutely clobbered by Iron Man. He's back on his feet, and he's quite pissy after being used as a human torpedo.
That's fair. That's fair, actually.
She gives as good as she gets, though, and Iron Man quickly gets belted back where he came from with a punch.
Ooh.
Punch.
But the girl realizes that her gained abilities are fading. Sure, she's still got Ms. Marvel's base level strength, but the near invincibility of Thor and the, I guess, extra strength of a guy that Cap has are both fading.
What exactly can she steal from him, anyway?
The super strength that he definitely has.
That is innate to his natural form? I thought that was a chemical.
His awakeness. Finally comes an Avenger who hasn't had her shot. The Scarlet Witch fires off a hex bolt at the Brotherhood as they seek a way for quick victory.
That's a cool panel.
It's really cool, right? The bolt ruptures an underground gas main, knocking all of the Brotherhood off their feet and Irene out of the fight. Meanwhile, up in the air, Rogue and Spider-Woman grapple.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Suddenly, there's a call, and Rogue turns to see Mystique's convertiplane beginning to lift off. She's ditching on the jailbreak attempt. It's time to go. Tony's troubled by their access to advanced tech as the pair leave, but at least that only leaves the rest of the Brotherhood to contain. And that's gonna be a task.
Oh.
The Scarlet Witch and Pyro seem to be in something of a duel. Even as Pyro seemed to seize control of the flames from the broken gas main, Wanda began casting hexes. Again, and again, and again, until the flames begin to turn to stone. Tony decides that it's time to come to the party, and he smashes the statue to smithereens. That leaves an opening for Hawkeye to save the day with a bonk to the head arrow.
That's his best arrow.
Knocking Pyro unconscious.
See, that's why they keep him around.
For bonking.
Exactly.
Luckily, the Avengers' fallen teammates are okay. Wonder Man returns carrying a rooftop water tank. And somewhere in the city, someone's shower was just rudely interrupted.
Wonder Man, you're alright. Of course I am. All the blob did was hit me.
Beast 2 is okay, though his hips have gotten stuck as he tries to climb free from the wreckage of one of the guard tower's windows.
Good.
Of course, the fight isn't just over. There are still 2 members of the Brotherhood left to deal with, and Avalanche comes out swinging. He attempts to turn the rubble of the guard tower Hank is stuck in into an avalanche, or whatever the hell it is he actually does with his powers. No worries, MVP of the day Wanda Maximoff turns her hex blast on the wreckage, freeing Beast just before he would have been powdered, and freeing him to fall directly on top of Avalanche, knocking him out of the fight.
So does that make him an improvised...
improvised weapon?
Yes.
Yes, I would say so.
Meanwhile, the Blob readies to fucking murder Vision by literally stomping him into the ground.
Yeah, Blob really does have that,
He's got that streak in him.
That I'm just gonna kill somebody energy to him.
Unluckily for him, that's not the kind of thing that would actually work. Viz just turns intangible, and the Blob's foot stomps straight through the ground beneath. And then the Synthezoid Avenger turns his thermoscopic eye blasts on the last man standing, blinding him.
I mean, this is mean.
Vision, you see, has a plan. He and Jocasta blast at the earth beneath the Blob's feet, sinking him into a hole. Next, he has Wanda cast one last hex on the pile of debris, turning it to powder. Simultaneously, Jessica unleashes a venom blast on the water tower. The results come together in a thick, gooey mass that the villain can't free himself from, and so he surrenders.
He blorfs.
Blorf.
What the fuck?
Why is some of his hair... Oh, because he got hit in the face with the sunbeam. Okay, got it. Vision burned off some of his hair.
I told you he was being mean. I mean, to be fair, Blob did mean to kill him with
Blob
that.
tried to kill him.
Are you ready for the best part of all this?
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Yes, let's go.
A few weeks later, the Avengers Quinjet touches down outside Xavier's school during one of their many school-wide pool parties, including new friends Carol and Jessica. Sensing this is about to be a very personal conversation, Charles ushers the X-Men inside. Jess lingers a moment longer, giving Carol's hand a reassuring squeeze before making sure she's all good to handle this alone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
After that last confirmation, Jessica too departs inside with the rest. It's quite the awkward moment at first. Hank is the first one to speak, asking how she's doing. She explains her progress. She remembers some of her life, but a lot of memories are just gone, never to return. Shortly, the conversation turns to Marcus. There's not a ton to discuss. There is no Marcus. Marcus is dead. Tony asks what they can do to help, and Carol just explodes on him, throwing a pitcher of iced tea across the pool deck. It's enough to catch them all off guard. Seeing the distress on his friend's face, Thor is quick to her side, trying to reassure her. It's natural to cry over someone you loved. And again, Carol goes off, this time slapping the Golden Avenger across the face. She didn't love Marcus. Did they not even hear Marcus say how he used Immortus's machines to push her over the edge to control her? Did they not listen to the story of how he used her as a broodmare? He's dead now, victim of his own miscalculations. His accelerated growth continued, even as the two returned to limbo. And once he was properly dead and gone, Carol was able to return to her own place in time. And she never reached out because she felt so betrayed by the lot of them. Honestly, I'm not going to beat this, so I'm just going to read it. There I was, pregnant by an unknown source, running through a 9-month term literally overnight, confused, terrified, shaken to the core of my being as a hero, a person, a woman. I turned to you for help, and I got jokes. The Wasps thought it was great, and Beast offered to play teddy bear. Your concerns were for the baby, not how it came to be, nor the cost to me of that conception. You took everything Marcus said at face value. You didn't question, you didn't doubt. You simply let me go with a smile and a wave and a bouncy bon voyage. She cleans up the mess she made, throwing the iced tea, and continues to tell the Avengers off. Because they're heroes. They're supposed to be better than that. The Avengers all look pretty dismayed by the hurt they put Carol through, and Wanda especially apologizes. Something Carol accepts, but it's definitely stuck with the heroes. As they travel home, Wanda's heart aches at how deeply she failed her friend. And with that, they return home.
So, how far apart in time were these two issues?
A year-ish?
A year, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's an Avengers Annual, so.
I just wanted to get that, because how long do you think Chris has,
He was pissed. He was pissed.
This feels personal. This is personal.
He was writing Ms. Marvel before this.
Oh no!
He was pissed. He's not the only one who's pissed. This got, like, feminist articles written about it. They were so pissed about what happened with Ms. Marvel.
I'm not shocked. Because of some of the stuff I'm interested in, I've read a considerable amount of more modern Captain Marvel. And the Rogue thing is something they come back to a lot. This aspect of it, not so much.
Yeah, this is cathartic, though, after having to read that first one, right?
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that this happened, honestly, after that first one. Like, so it always sucks when a fucking hack writer does some bullshit to a character that you absolutely hate. But it is so good when another writer comes back and says, fuck that, actually.
Yeah.
That sucked.
And as it happens, I don't hate her.
So what would you guys rate that?
The art is hideous.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm still giving it a 5.
Yeah. I thought not only was that cathartic and satisfying, not only was the story coherent,
Yeah.
despite battling a lot of things, the fight scene was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had something going on. I knew where everybody was at every point in time, but it wasn't obtrusive.
This is one of Chris's best.
It's not one of those Silver Aegean Thor has a battle with some guy and they're having a philosophical argument during, and the actual fight doesn't matter.
And neither does the philosophical argument.
Yes.
Chris is really good at fight scenes.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah.
Really good at pacing them out and getting everybody.
I mean, using Tony as an improvised explosive device.
He keeps doing this lately. He's like, okay, I'm gonna drop
the heavy guy.
Yeah, but using him
Drop
and his
the impervious
armor
guy.
as a weapon against their power supply. I like that. Good.
Yeah, I
good.
thought that was really fun.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
go
with
with
you at 5.
Especially since she read them.
She read them for filth.
Oh,
She
yeah.
did, and they deserved it. They all deserved it.
Agreed. All right, what do you say we put this baby to bed?
Yeah.
It's over too.
This one is a little more done than the one we just experienced.
I'm glad you guys let me just read an issue of Avengers that had nothing to do with anything. I thought it made this last story much more coherent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you kind of don't get the impact of
the last bit without reading it.
you have to go through the nastiness of it to really understand why it mattered.
Exactly, and it was important to read anyway because this is Rogue's first appearance.
Yes.
So I thought it made the whole thing more coherent to just read them together.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's going to be it for us this week. We're going to be back with you next time, and we look forward to talking to you then. Bye!
Bye.